Hi everyone, today we're going to be making a gluten-free chicken broth, and we're going to be starting that in just a minute. Okay, so I make chicken stock because my family has gluten issues. So this way I know exactly what's going into the stock, which I'm then going to use in a soup, and I can use it for when I make rice or any such thing. So what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to prep my vegetables and get my chicken ready to go. So the first thing it calls for is a carrot. Now I have my huge bag of carrots, so I'm going to take a carrot. Get this bag of carrots out of the way. Now, I'm going to give it a really good wash. I don't peel carrots because all the vitamins are in the skin. So, I do not peel carrots. I give them a good wash. I have a little scrub brush I use and I scrub away. Okie dokie. Now you're going to find with this that I am going to be putting things in two pans, okay? So I'm using my pasta pan. Now see, this part of the pan is all full of holes, and this pan is not. So what I do is all my scrap pieces I'm putting in the hole because I don't want that to go into my broth. And we'll be back in just a second. Hi, I'm back again. You know what? I'm just looking at this carrot, and I am going to peel it because it's got quite a few blemishes. So, and I just, you know, when you're eating your soup or whatever, because I save the vegetables that come out of my broth, the ones that I use to make my stock, I save those vegetables and eat them the next day because I just don't have the heart to throw things out. I guess it's because, you know, I think of all those people that have nothing in the world and I'm throwing out perfectly good food because I just want the flavors. No, that's not going to happen. But I am going to use these shavings, and this I'm going to show you what I do. Okay, so I take all my shavings from my carrot and I put it in my holy pot, because that's the pot that holds all the things that I won't want to eat later. Now since this is a stock, you can cut these chunks really big. So I'm just going to cut them big. It doesn't matter how big they are, if they're perfect, because it's just a stock. And technically most people throw this stuff away and just keep the broth. And like I said, I'm not going to do that. I don't have the heart for that. Okay, so it calls for a carrot. Now I am reading this off of a cookbook, but I'm not going to tell you which one because the author of the cookbook would probably just die if they saw me butchering their recipe the way I'm going to. So I never cook anything the way it says, so it's just the way it is. So the next thing it calls for is an onion. So I take off the top. I take off the bottom. I do not throw those out. I put them in my holy pot. Then, again, I don't do onions like everyone else. I take that first layer I take all of that off so I don't have any weird skin. I hate getting pieces of onion skin in my food. So I take that first layer off, but I'm putting that in my holy pot. Oh my goodness, that's stinging my eyes. Now I'm just gonna cut this. Again, it doesn't have to be anything spectacular. Whew, strong onion. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's my onion. Calls for 2 stalks of celery. Now I'm gonna take the stalks that have all this leafy stuff on it because most people throw out that leafy stuff. Not me, I'm putting it in my holy pot. And then the ends can go in the holy part. And then I'm gonna chop this up. Excuse me just a moment. So I'm going to cut that up, add it to my vegetables that go into this broth. And I do love this broth. And like I said, it's gluten-free. So, yeah, I just use it. I love it. I use it often. Okay. So now it calls for a leek. I don't have a leek, so we're skipping the leek. We'll put in maybe an extra piece of celery and an extra carrot to make up for a leek. Maybe I'll take that celery innards. There we go. And I'll take a small carrot. Okay, so the leaves go in the holy pot, and the actual celery part goes in my bowl. And then I'm gonna scrub my carrot. And the end goes in my holy pot. The holy pot. And this other. This one's good. I'm not gonna scrape it. Okay. This can go in there. So that's to make up for the leek. And then it calls for a bay leaf. And it calls for a sprig of thyme. I don't have a sprig of thyme, so I'm going to use, so here, we're just going to add this to our pot. So we're going to do a bay leaf. That one's kind of small. Maybe I'll go 2. 2 bay leaves. A sprig of thyme, which I don't have. So I'm going to do a teaspoon of thyme. Oh. Teaspoon of thyme. So those 2 are done. Then I'm going to do, it says 3 garlic cloves peeled. Now, I don't have garlic cloves, but I've got garlic powder. See, right there, garlic powder. So I'm just going to do 3 teaspoons of garlic powder. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but my family loves garlic. So I did 3 teaspoons. Like I said, they do call for garlic cloves for that. And then tomato paste, which I'm not going to dump in at this time. And then it calls for my all-purpose flour. Now this is what I use, all-purpose flour. And you'll see, well, It's gluten-free. Gluten-free. So that's what I use. Okay, so we're gonna pause here and I'm gonna move us over to the oven and we'll get started there. Oh my goodness, you guys must think I'm crazy. Hello, we forgot the most important part, the chicken. So I'm taking these chicken, I have a whole bunch of chicken legs, and I'm just gonna trim the meat off, and I'm gonna take those bones and put them in my holy pot. So just the meat. Yeah. And then the bones can go in the pot. I kind of give it a place to cut to, and then I skin it from there. And that way that chicken can be used in another project, which I am hoping to be doing a chicken soup soon, so you can see all this lovely chicken get used. But in the meantime, we're using the bones to make this broth. So it calls for 2 pounds chicken bones. So this isn't quite 2 pounds, but it's a start. I work with what I've got, right? And I think that's the way all of us are, to one extent or another. We work with what we got. And so any kind of leftover, see, normally I have a bag in the freezer that when I cut onions or carrots or whatever, I throw the bones, not the ones that people have chewed off of, obviously, but you know, when I have to take chicken off the bone, I'll just throw the bones in a bag in my freezer, and then when it's time to make some broth, because I've run out, I keep calling it broth. In the recipe it's called stock, and I personally don't know the difference. So I use them for, like I said, soups. I use them when I cook rice. I use it when, sometimes if I'm doing vegetables, I'll put a little bit of stock water in there. See, and then I've got this nice meat here to make into a nice soup. It's gonna be lovely. I have a really nice recipe for a chicken rice soup. Oh, and the other thing is, like my family, they don't like chicken skin, but chicken skin is great to make broth with. So if I'm skinning a chicken, I'll throw that in the bag too, the skin, and use that. It sounds funny, right? Because how cheap can you be? But I don't know, it's just, I hate to waste anything. It's not a matter of being cheap. I don't need to be cheap. I just hate to waste things. And then here we go. This is my last piece of chicken. And then we'll pause and we'll go over to the stove. Okay. Okay, hi, we're back. I've moved us over to the stove. We're gonna turn our burner on to medium-ish. Medium-high. Okay. So it says heat the olive oil in. So it's calling for 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm just gonna coat the bottom of my pan. That looks about 2 tablespoons. Don't you love the way I cook? Okay. So that's about 2 tablespoons. And we want to make sure it coats everything. Okay. So we're on medium. Okay, so it says heat the olive oil in a large stock pot and add the vegetable, herbs, and garlic. Okay. So that would be minus the bay leaves. I'm just going to put them to the side. That would be this. I don't know if that's quite warmed yet. Cook over medium heat, stirring occasionally until the vegetables are golden. Okay. So we're going to be stirring these until the vegetables are golden. Let's get that. Okay. So let's get this in here. Okay. So I would assume that that means that the vegetables are, well, the onions are at least caramelized, right? Okay. Okay, so we need to let that cook here. Minus the bay leaves, stirring occasionally. Look at that, I love the color already. And if we had smell-o-vision, you would love this too. Okay, so I'm going to just let this cook for a few minutes. Now my children are not celiac. They just have some gluten issues. So we always are trying to cook in a gluten-free way. Oh, I'm starting to hear the sizzle. Yeah, there's a sizzle, so it's starting to cook. We'll get these vegetables golden. Okay. Then we need the tomato paste. Maybe I'll take this opportunity to open my tomato paste. So, here we go. Now I'm just using Hunt's tomato paste. I was amazed when I found out that my children were requiring gluten-free eating, how many things have gluten in them. So this Hunt's tomato paste, actually, the ingredients are tomatoes and citric acid. That's it. There's nothing else in it. Now, I looked at pasta sauces. They all had gluten. They had wheat of some sort, or it was just horrible. I couldn't find hardly anything to feed to my children. And that's never a situation you want to be in. So, ooh, listen to that. And it smells good. Even though I didn't do it properly, it still smells delicious. Very nice. Oh. See, and these vegetables, like I said, I will use in a soup. I will eat them just as my lunch or whatever, because there's nothing wrong with these vegetables. I know that we're taking a lot of the flavors out of them, but you know, we're just going to use that same stock for the soup, so. I turned it down just a bit because the sizzle is still, it is quite sizzly. Okay, until they are golden. And then stir in the tomato paste, flour. Now, how much flour do we need? We need 2 tablespoons of flour. So I'm going to go get my measure. got my measure and my flour. Isn't that lovely? I just love the color. You know, I love food. That's my thing. I love plants. I love food. So, yeah. Maybe that's better than you can see it. Now my onions are starting to go transparent, so I'm thinking it's about time to add in vegetables, herbs, and garlic. Medium heat, stirring occasionally until the vegetables are golden. Stir in the tomato paste and flour and cook for another minute. So I think it's about time to add in the tomato paste. Tomato paste and 2 tablespoons flour, and I'm using the gluten-free flour. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to give you the name of this recipe, who invented it, but I have to, because if you want to do it right, it's from the Gordon Ramsey cookbook, and I just love his cooking. It is Gordon Ramsay's Healthy Appetite, and this is on page 249, and it's his Healthy Basics. So there we go. We were supposed to stir that for a minute. Okay. Stir in the tuna for another. Add the chicken bones and then pour enough cold water to cover. So, this is where I take my pot of everything else. Okay. And now I'm going to add water to cover. Cold water. So here we go. We're adding our cold water. Yeah. I'm just going to keep adding cold water. And we need it to cover our chicken bones. There we go. Ah, you know what? Those aren't quite covered. There we go. Now we're covered. Okay. So, now what I'm going to do, and you're going to think I'm crazy, is I've got a plate here as a catch-all. I'm going to just take all that out, put it on my plate so I'm not making a mess all over my lovely. And I'm just going to stir those vegetables that were down, that are going to get squished by this other pot. I'm just giving them a stir so we can get all those nice herbs off the bottom. Okay. So this is the stuff I'm going to keep and eat. And I'm putting my bay leaves back in my garbage one. And then I'm putting that back. letting these have a go. Oh, there's a carrot. Okay. So, letting these have a go. Now we have to bring this up to a boil. So I'm gonna put it to medium high, okay? And we're gonna let that come to a boil, and then I'll come back to you. See you in a bit. Okay, so we're back, and it's now at a boil. A little bit of a boil. Bring it to a boil and skim off any scum that rises to the surface. I didn't really see any scum. Okay, rises to the surface. Reduce the heat and let it simmer gently for 1 hour. So I'm gonna just hit it to low now, and we're gonna let it simmer for an hour. And then we'll come back and I'll show you what we do next. Doesn't that look good? That looks so good. Okay, so I'll be back in an hour and we'll go to the next step. Thanks. Hi there, so I'm back and it's been an hour. And this is what it looks like. Oh, doesn't that look good? If you could smell this, it smells like heaven. Okay, so it says let simmer for an hour, which we did. Then it says let it stand for a few minutes and then pass through a strainer, a fine strainer into fine strainer, and let cool. Refrigerate and use within 5 days, or freeze the stock in convenient portions for up to 3 months. So I am going to put some aside that I'm going to use today. I'm going to make a nice soup that I can bring for lunches. We'll have it for supper, and whatever's left I'll use for lunches. But yeah, so I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to let it stand. And by the way, I did use the lid while it was simmering. I had the lid on it the whole time. So I'm going to let this stand for a few minutes. I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. We'll let it stand. And then we'll come back and we'll portion it out. Thanks. So I'm back and we're at the kitchen sink because you know what? I'm clumsy. So we let it stand for 5 minutes. Now I am going to take the pot. See over here, I've got the pot. I'm going to lift out the stuff that I wouldn't want to eat, the stuff that I want for flavoring but not for eating. So chicken bones, that kind of thing. So that's what that looks like. Okay. I'm going to take that and put it on the plate and put it aside. I'm going to throw that stuff in the garbage. Okay. Then I'm going to, I'll use a ladle for this. Okay. So now I'm going to take these containers. Now these are Tupperware containers that I use, and this is what I freeze my broth in because I like the fact that it's got all the cups and ounces and milliliters and so on measurements on it. So I'm just going to put that in my sink. I'm going to put my strainer on top and just looks like an accident waiting to happen. I am going to strain it into the container. Now, I am getting these vegetables but that's okay because these vegetables, like I said, I'm not going to throw them out. I am going to save them. I feel like I'm losing breath by doing it over the sink like this. I wonder if I should do it in a container. Here, I'm going to put my container in a container, so if I miss while I'm straining, then there we go. Okay, so here we go. There we go. I'm just gonna do this until it's most of the way full. I'm gonna go, there's a 16-ounce measurement. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some paper towel, put that to the side. I'm gonna take my nice filled container filled with broth. I'm gonna put it over here on a paper towel because I was messy. I'm gonna save my vegetables for later. And I'm gonna just keep doing this. And I'm gonna fill up all my containers with this yummy broth. And you know, it really didn't take that long to make at all. And we're gonna have this, so anytime we need chicken broth anyway, for anything, it's all ready. And we know this version that I made is gluten-free, which, as I said in my family, we try and watch the gluten intake. So I'm gonna keep doing this, and I'm gonna come back to you and show you how much we get after I'm done doing all of it. Okay, so we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm back, and this is what we ended up with. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a measuring cup, which I'm going to use today in another project. We got all this worth of stock, and like I said, I use them in these containers so that I can freeze them. It's a perfect size. And then we've got some lovely leftover vegetables that I'm going to use and make that into dinners for myself. And there we go. So that's how I make chicken stock, totally butchering Gordon Ramsay's recipe. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, do all the things you need to do. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.